guys, welcome back to my channel for another video. Today's video is part of a collaboration hosted by my friend Geraldine at our homeschool table. A few of us homeschool moms have come together for this collaboration to share our summer homeschool plans. I'm going to leave a link to the playlist in the description below. So when you're done watching here, go check out some other videos if you're curious about what other homeschool moms are planning for the summer months and how they handle this time of year, or if you just want some new ideas. I would love to know if you homeschool year-round or if you take a traditional summer break 2 to 3 months off from formal schoolwork. Go ahead and leave me a comment below right now to let me know what you do. This time of year, I feel like everyone is asking me, are you guys about done with schoolwork for the year? And I always feel like I make my answer more complicated than it needs to be. Because yes, we've finished our required homeschool hours, and yes, we've wrapped up some subjects, but not all of them. So we're not going to be taking a total break this summer. I find that my kids and me do better with a little routine in place, even if it's super flexible. And keeping some sort of rhythm helps with the transition into the next school year and prevents that summer slide. So in this video, I thought I would share 2 things with you. First, some practical tips that I'm using to wrap up our homeschool year, keep things organized, and help me avoid feeling overwhelmed come August. And then I'll share what our summer homeschool plans will look like this year. Okay, the first thing that I'm doing, the first tip is, if you are going to school during the summer, make a loose summer schedule or plan. Maybe you don't like to plan. I am the type of person who needs plans and checklists. I always feel more grounded when I have a plan, even if it's a flexible plan. Now that most of my kids are older, I don't plan out our summer quite as tightly as I used to with different activities and things, but I do like to have a general idea of what our days will look like. So this past week, I worked to create a loose routine for learning and the schoolwork I want to do over the summer. And then I hold that routine with an open hand because I do want to leave room for fun and the more spontaneous activities that tend to pop up over the summer. Everyone will have a different way they do this, but specifically what I did to plan was I sat down with Homeschool Planet, which I use for all of my homeschool planning, and I went through each subject to get an idea if we would finish everything from this year or if I needed to cut anything out or modify any assignments. I wanted to make sure we'd be done with what I wanted to finish from our core curriculum near the end of May. And I'm pretty happy with where we are. There were just a couple of things that I needed to move around and make some decisions on. But once I had all of that straightened out, I picked out a start date for our summer school routine, which for us will just be the first week of June. And then I just did a brain dump and wrote down what curriculum I wanted to continue or use throughout the summer. And from there, I will add those things to Homeschool Planet so my kids can easily see their daily schedule. It just feels good to have that plan, just a little bit of structure to build the rest of our days around. So that's my first tip. My second tip, the next thing I'll be doing is to start your school supply list and get familiar with your new curriculum. As the new curriculum starts arriving, this is a great time to start making school supply lists. I like to go through each course slowly and make sure that I understand how everything works. So not just what I need, but how everything's gonna work. So especially with 4 kids and curriculum from several different companies, there are a lot of moving parts. So I usually just focus on one subject or teacher's manual at a time to keep it from feeling overwhelming. I like to read through the teacher notes, figure out how many days a week we'll use that curriculum, and then make a list of any materials or supplies that we'll need for that course. And in doing that, taking inventory of what we already have and then writing down what I'll need to buy. Having that prep work done ahead of time makes a huge difference when August rolls around. And this kind of also ties into my next tip, which is to organize your homeschool space. This might feel like a no-brainer for the end of the year, but it's something I always set aside time to do, because not only do I need to clear away and clean out stuff from this past year, but as I'm getting in new curriculum and supplies, I like to have a place for everything to go and know how I'm gonna want things organized for next year. So in the next couple of weeks, I will be putting away everything from this year and figuring out how I want to set up our space for the new curriculum. So where books will go, how I'll store supplies, all of that. I'm also going to be getting my homeschool planner ready with next year's schedule and curriculum. I know it may seem early, but in our state, we can start logging homeschool hours in July, and we'll be easing back into a few subjects by then. So the new school year is honestly going to be here before I know it. And just getting all of this done now helps me to feel ready, and it just clears some mental clutter as we head into the couple months of summer. Okay, and then my last tip, this one can easily be done later in the summer, but it's something we're tackling soon, so I wanted to include it, and that's updating your meal plan or making one. This past school year, I made a simple lunch menu for our homeschool, and honestly, I can't believe how well it stuck. We used it all year. The kids really liked it, and it helped me so much with weekly grocery shopping. And again, it also took some of that mental load off because I didn't have to decide what we were going to make for lunch every single day. And even better, my kids started jumping in and helping me get lunches ready, since they always knew what we were having and it was ready and just easier for them. So I'm going to be updating our plan. I've already made some changes throughout the year, but there were a couple of meals I had put on our menu that weren't everyone's favorite, and we've come up with some new things that we want to add. So my kids and I will sit down together to refresh that menu and get it ready for the summer and the next school year. If you want to do something similar, I actually have a free printable template on my blog, and I will link that below. It's super simple and editable, so you can plug in your own meals or just take a peek at ours to get some ideas. This one little habit made a big difference in our homeschool day, and getting it updated now just means one less thing to think about later, and plus it will be helpful for summer too. So those are my 4 tips. Those are the 4 things that I'm kind of focusing on right now to stay organized and wrap up this school year. Like I said earlier, it doesn't really feel like we're wrapping anything up. We will have a week off in May because we are going to the Teach Them Diligently Homeschool Convention. But other than that, we'll be continuing light learning throughout the summer and then adding in a couple of new things as early as July. So let me talk about that next. Here's what I have planned for our summer learning routine. The 2 main things I like to continue throughout the summer are math and Latin. Those are the subjects I feel like if we were to take 2 months off completely, we would just struggle to get back into the swing of things. So my kids will continue their lessons with CTC Math. And then for Latin, we just finished second form Latin from Memoria Press. So they have these review books. We'll be doing this review book over the summer. Second form was challenging. There was a lot of new vocab and grammar to learn. So it's going to be really good to do this before we move on to third form Latin. The other things we're going to do, my son is going to finish his science curriculum. He has about 2 to 3 more chapters of Science in the Atomic Age from Berean Builders. We just started this curriculum late into the year, which is why he isn't done. I thought about just stopping him after he's done with his current chapter. I definitely am not a proponent of always needing to finish 100% of the curriculum, but the last couple of chapters have some great material in them, as the entire book did, so he's going to continue it, and he'll probably finish this around mid-June. I'm also planning to have my older kids continue writing and rhetoric with me over the summer. If you've been watching my channel this year, you might remember we just started it a couple of months ago, and we're still working through Narrative 2 book and aren't quite finished yet, so we'll keep going until we wrap it up, probably sometime in mid-June as well, and then we'll be ready to start the next book in the fall, which will just give us a nice natural transition. And with my youngest, we'll just continue on with the Logic of English and his regular math curriculum. He is 6. He's not really expecting a summer break. He doesn't know any different. So, the structure is really good for him anyway. So we'll just keep moving at a steady pace and make progress in those two things where we can. Then finally, I mentioned we can start counting our homeschool hours in July. So that's when I like to begin slowly pulling in a subject or two that will be new to us. So we have time to get used to it and figure things out before our full schedule starts in August. So in July, I'm planning to have my kids begin our new science curriculum. My 3 older kids are going to be taking Earth Science from Journey Homeschool Academy, and this will be completely new to us. So my plan is for us to do it all together throughout July, and then they should be ready to work more independently on it after a few weeks. I also want to start our new vocabulary books in July and a course that we'll be using called Foundations in Worship from Master Books. Starting these things in July not only allows us to count our homeschool hours, but it also, like I said, helps us get used to new things and also gives us a bit of a buffer during the year because we already have a month or so under our belt. So on days during the year that get really crazy and we can't fit things in and I have to reschedule or push some things to the side, we just have a little bit extra buffer there, which is really nice. So those are the things that I have planned for our learning activities over the summer. There are a lot of our typical routine things that actually don't change for us over the summer, like our sports and music schedules. We still have all of that stuff, which does keep some structure in our days, even without a full school load. That's also probably why I don't feel the need to completely stop the academics. We just adjust the pace and stay a little bit more flexible. I've got a few videos planned throughout the summer still, so I hope you'll subscribe if you haven't already to keep up with what we're doing. I have a few flip-throughs planned that you guys have requested. I'm working on those. And I mentioned that we were heading to the Teach Them Diligently Homeschool Convention soon, so I plan to share about that as well. Last year, I had a lot of fun doing little recap videos with my husband. You can go check those out. This year will be the first year we are bringing all of our kids with us to the convention. The first time in the 8 years that we've gone that they will come with us. So we're all a little excited for a little vacation. We're spending a few more days in Branson after the convention is over and have some fun things planned. It's always really refreshing to attend Teach Them Diligently. We look forward to it every year, so it will be a great way to end our year and probably motivate me even more to tackle these things on my prep list. Okay guys, I think that's it. I hope you can take something away from my tips that might help you, whether you're wrapping up your school year and taking a big summer break, or are hoping to keep some sort of routine going. Definitely go check out the playlist for this collaboration on summer homeschool plans. Thanks again to Geraldine for hosting. I can't wait to see what the other ladies are doing and have to share. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you next time.